Welcome back to the Big Blue Boat Shed, folks. Today we're going to reinforce the rudder block that I've glued into the bottom of the boat. And to do that, I'm going to use my last piece of Saertex, which is a high-tech carbon fiber. It's quadrilateral. I believe it's in the 24 to 28 ounce per square yard, so it's going to use up a lot of epoxy. But before we get there, I need to mix up some glue and radius off the fillets, and then we'll be ready to go. Stand by. So the first thing I have to do is figure out how I'm going to wrap this shape. It's pretty irregular, and this being such a heavy fabric doesn't form over those irregular shapes too well. But the upside is it's going to be horrendously strong when it's finished. So I'm just going to roughly lay out a fabric, which just happens to be exactly wide enough to cover the part. We'll give it a nice wide margin, about 3 inches for overlap. That should be plenty. I'm just going to mark it and cut it by eye. A good set of shears is essential for working with this material. These are actually made for cutting carbon fiber, and they're not cheap. They're about 45 bucks a pop. And as you can see, these are well used. I'm basically just going to slit the corners at 45 so I can wrap this thing essentially like a Christmas present. These little disposable razor blades are good for that. But on this material, they're pretty much at one time's use and they're done. That should work good. It fits just like a glove. Normally when working with carbon fiber or basalt or any of the lighter materials, I like to use a vacuum to create clamping force. But unfortunately this piece has a huge hole in the middle of it, so that's not going to be possible. So once I wet this out, we're going to have to keep our eye on it for a while and make sure no bubbles form and the corners stay set and we don't get any bridging or anything like that. I'm trying to get you a little closer to the action this time. Sorry for the noise in the background. The fan is running, but it's getting pretty warm here. So what we're starting with is our standard filleting mix. This is just wood flour and cabasil mixed to a peanut butter consistency. And we're going to try and make some nice fat radiuses. So we'll have a nice smooth transition for the carbon fiber to go from vertical to horizontal surfaces. Like I said, it's really heavy and it doesn't really bend very easily, so here goes. My favorite filleting tool, the little plastic drywall things. It's really hard to get a decent shape on the corners. I noticed that, so I'm just going to bail out here and do my backup spot. My bailout spot, which is over there. So I've pre-wet out our piece of Saertex, just like I showed in previous episode. This material just loves epoxy. It's a dream to work with. It does stretch a little bit, so you have to be ready to possibly enlarge your slits or make slits where it won't conform to the curve, such as here on the bottom. There you have it. It's not really pretty, but it's a structural part, and it'll be covered up with more fiberglass and paint. Hey folks, something a little different, just to change things up. Down here back on the rudder, I'm trying to do some final fairing before we get ready to wrap it in carbon fiber and do a resin infusion on that. So what I've done is I've just mixed up another small batch of quick fair from System 3. It's really good stuff. We'll use that to fill in some of the low spots, and we'll be able to come back in a couple of hours and sand it down and get it ready. Do this side, I'll have to flip it, do the other side later, and there you have it. Once it's wrapped in carbon fiber and infused, there will be a final fairing done before it's painted after that. So if you see some lumps and bumps, don't worry about it. The flexi-cats will get those out in a hurry. If you haven't seen the flexi-cats in operation, I'll put a link in the description to one of my previous videos. I know you guys and girls like to see me sand stuff, so just changing out the paper. This is 80 grit Rhino Redline professional papers. I don't know if they're available anywhere. I got mine with the Sandy Cats. They really cut well. Makes jobs like this easier, but it takes a lot more muscle to get them started and keep them going. Trying to get up close on the rudder. You can see the shiny spots are still low spots. One more coat should do it, but I'm going to stop here. 105 degrees is just a bit too much for today, so we'll be back tomorrow morning when it's a little cooler. Thanks for looking in. Stand by.